How you doing, everybody? My name is Michael Zapsik. I'm from AMC's Comic Book Man, and you're listening to iWalter.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Yes. Hey, it's iWalter. Or I should just say Walt. Or Walter. It doesn't really matter, does it? Actually, excuse me for a moment. Okay, now I can hear myself. That's what I want to do, hear myself. Actually, I really don't want to hear myself. What am I saying? Yeah, I haven't done a show in a couple days, I guess. It seems like forever for me because, I've been doing shows almost every night since I've started. And, now I'm not really doing them on a regular basis. At least I don't think I am. So now it's actually Monday the 13th. It's almost 2 a.m., which is not cool because I actually would have got started earlier on Sunday. But I had to run around because actually my printer broke on my computer. I actually got another good deal at Micro Center, by the way, because not only was my printer broken, so, when you go to Micro Center, you have to have like a copy of whatever you order online when you pick it up because you can only pick things up. They don't mail things to you. So I'm over there, and I looked at a couple places actually. I was going to go on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, Saturday night. I was going to go over to Walmart after I got back, from seeing Kevin Smith. I saw him. That was a mess. I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and I realized my printer's not working. I knew for a while it wasn't working correctly. It just stopped. It says everything's working fine. It's an HP printer all-in-one. I only paid like $50 for it. So I've had it for a while, and it just stopped working. So it was like, okay, my printer's not working, and then my father's printer's not working. And I'm not surprised. Anything I give him, eventually he ends up finding a way to reckon it, so to speak. I hate to say that my dad's very helpful around the house otherwise, and he's helped me and my mother out of a lot of jams, but he just seems to break things too. He's got he's all thumbs when it comes to his own stuff. He doesn't take care of it. He breaks everything. So, so I went over, I actually looked at Walmart like I was starting to say, and it was like, okay, because I had printers from Walmart for the last decade. I've been buying all my printers from Walmart because you can't beat the prices. They have Hewlett-Packards, which I actually do like their printers and their computers. So I'm sticking with Hewlett-Packard. I don't like any other brand. I've tried different brands, Canon and Epson. I just don't like them at all. They think they're crap. So I like HP. They're always known for doing printers and, making really good printers, so I'm going to keep with them. So I saw one. It was like, well, hey, these are really good deals. You can get one for like $40, $50 at any given time at Walmart. But then I looked at the reviews, and it was like, oh, the reviews are okay. They're not great. And then I figured, well, let me check Best Buy, because Best Buy I buy a lot from, too, electronic-wise. And they had some really good deals, and it was like, about pretty much relatively the same. Then I looked at Micro Center. It's like, let me check Micro Center. It's a little out of the way, but I'll check Micro Center. It's over in St. David's. I live in Trooper. So I check out that, and it was like, wow. They got some pretty cool printers. They had one that was refurbished, but it's actually refurbished from the manufacturer. I should look at that now, so see if I can find it. I should have done this, so I didn't think I was. And it was like, okay, I didn't think they were to have. I thought they only had one in stock. They had 10 in stock of these refurbished. But again, I don't know if I mentioned it, but they're refurbished from HP themselves, Hewlett-Packard. So that makes it actually better. It comes in a regular box, no generic looking box. It comes directly from the manufacturer. They refurbished them. So I bought two of them. Now the funny thing was, I was being kind, but one looked like somebody opened the box, wanted to see what it looked like, and then they put it back, and it might have been a floor model or whatever, but it was the refurbished one. And they don't have any other one out on the floor. Maybe they just opened up to look at it. But the one I got, I had taken for myself. I was trying to be generous to my father because I bought two of the exact same ones. One had a scratch on the top, and it's like, you know what? Even though I'll be using mine more, I'll make sure to give my dad the better one. I'm not going to be a dick and do what some people do, and it's like, okay, I'll take the better of the two, and I'll give so-and-so, whoever it might be, the one that's less damaged. No, I actually gave him the one that was the best-looking one. There was like a slight scratch on the one, and it was a nightmare today because I'm trying to put this printer, get it to work on my computer. I had nothing but nightmares. I ended up almost breaking it. Now, here's one thing, by the way, I didn't say. I got the printers a piece for $40. They have 10 of them. They have 8 left because I bought 2 of them now. And it's the HP Envy, I think that's the way you say it, 5530 all-in-one refurbished printer. So I looked them up online. I might even do that again because I swear the price was like $150. So it's probably a little bit older, but, you know, they put the stuff out so frequently. And actually the rating from Micro Center on this printer is 4.5 out of 5 by most people. Well, I don't know how many. Okay, it was only 2, so never mind on that. But they liked it. I've seen some of the HP printers that I was going to buy. And, yeah, it wasn't too promising. So I told this guy, yeah, I saw it online. Let's see what Best Buy is charging for the same exact printer. Okay, it's out of stock. It's a very popular one. It's black and silver. Very sleek. It's just wider, but it's very sleek. Okay, the 5540 is $130. This is a 5530. I know I saw a price earlier on it, and I thought it was like $150. So anyway, either way, the printer looked really sleek. It got really decent reviews by, you know, not just by somebody being paid to give a good review, but from actual people. And yeah, I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. And it was $40, and well, eBay, somebody saw one for $60. So it's still good though. I'm trying to see if they're actually okay, maybe it was Staples. Let's see. I think that's where I saw it. Okay, yeah. Staples sells the exact same printer, which out of almost close to 1,700 reviews, which were all pretty damn good on Staples' website. Staples is charging for the same printer I picked up for $40 today, $130 for the exact same one. So it was like, okay, and the reviews were really decent. So my only problem was I didn't know what I was doing. They don't give you much as far as directions, even in the box. So I'm like almost breaking the thing, trying to figure it out. Like the paper got jammed in the one I have. I put the paper in, thought I put it in right. I put the cartridges in. They take the same cartridges as my old printer, so I'm actually using those first. And the paper got jammed. I was like, how the fuck do I get this paper that's jammed in there? I have no clue because it's like streamlined, so streamlined you can't barely, like, there's not much headroom, so to speak. Okay, even on Amazon, this same, you know, Amazon Prime account, if you have an Amazon Prime member, their cheapest price is $93.50 for the same one I bought. Now, I had a very difficult time since Apple has updated their software, their OS, just recently. I haven't been able to use the wireless capability on my HP old printer, and there was other issues. The new one doesn't also connect, so I think there's a thing that they did when they upgraded their software. It's just impossible. My printer was shot. My dad's was hardwired, and his didn't work. So anyway, yeah, this printer is obviously it's a good printer. And on HP, it's almost got a perfect score. And this was on this printer, the 5530, almost over 1,700 reviews. And they were all really decent. So again, you can buy a refurbished one from the manufacturer on HP's website. I mean, from Micro Center, I apologize. So I was like, wow, this is beyond an excellent deal. I need a printer. My dad's is broken. Father's Day is coming up. And also, I let him know ahead of time. I said, hey, it's going to either be an early, because his birthday is like 2 weeks after Father's Day. So I said, I'll buy it for you, but it's going to be an early Father's Day or birthday present. It's not going to be both, but it's going to be one or the other. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to, I give my dad a lot of stuff. I hate to say it. He gives me a lot, but I give him, me and my mother buy him TV sets, furniture, computers. I don't know how many computers I bought for him and her that they just don't use them or they break them after a while. Well, he does. He just breaks them, and then he gives the excuse like, I don't understand what went wrong. It was working, and now all of a sudden it doesn't work. It's like, well, do you ever think perhaps you probably broke so-and-so? Because he does. He breaks everything, and he doesn't. And then he says, well, I don't use that all the time. It's like, yeah, you actually do. Maybe my mother said, even with the printer, says, oh, I never use the printer. It's like, yeah, you use it all the time. He prints out everything. He prints everything he sees on the internet, and he's so cheap about it. He'll use the other side of the paper, to print it out again. And I mean, if he could, he would print on top of the paper. If he could actually put it in the wash machine and wash the ink off, he would do that just to reuse the ink. And it's like, we buy the paper, we buy the printer, we buy you the computer, we bought you the monitor, the whole shebang. We give him everything he has that's in his room. We take everything out that we bought out of our pocket for him. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do appreciate the stuff he does for me. Don't get me wrong on that. But he won't buy anything for himself, but yet he'll say, I don't need any of this stuff. Well, all the stuff he doesn't need would be about 3/4 of stuff that he does actually use, though. So that's a little bit of, it's kind of weird how he says, oh, I don't need this, I don't need that, but then he actually uses it all. So I don't know. It's kind of a little irritating, to say the least. But I don't know. Anyway, so I got these printers. I spend all night. I was telling a friend, a friend has a little bit of an issue right now with some problems at work, and he's really upset. So I talked to him. I was like, cool. I'm not going to go into detail. It's not important. Well, actually, it is important, but it's something that I really should not be talking about, so I'm not. But I just want to leave it at the friend is having some problems at work. He's, very upset. And it's kind of the same issues I've been complaining about. But unfortunately, when I complain about it, that's basically all it is. It's just me complaining. And, it's like I seem to make mountains out of molehills, But this is not with him, this particular friend. But now, believe it or not, he's got the same issues. My thing is why mine doesn't. I mean, it gets me really upset, but it doesn't get the best of me. It does mentally and physically, but it's because I work for a union. So there is some good things about unions. So don't get me wrong, there is some excellent things about unions, but the problem is, people also take advantage of that fact that they, have something that actually is, supposed to be to benefit you, not for you to take advantage of. But some people take advantage of the fact that they have a union backing them up. And that's not cool. That's not cool for me. That's not cool for anybody else. What I mean is, by making my job more difficult, knowing you can get away with doing nothing is not the way you're supposed to, take advantage of a union. But people do that stuff. They figured, well, hey, I'm in a union. I can do whatever the F I want to do, and I'll get away with it. And it's like, yeah, you will, but eventually it's going to catch up to you, too. So I have a friend that he basically gives me, I don't want to say a rude reminder, but he does give me a reminder of, the benefits of being in a union. There is some good points, not many, but I mean, there's a lot of good points. Don't get me wrong. I shouldn't say not many. There's a lot of good points, but I think the thing that ruins that whole perspective is that you have too many people who really take advantage of it. So I'm looking for a friend, because I know she listens to me, my one friend at work, that I hate to tell her, but that computer, oh wait, it's still here. They just took it off the front page. There's a computer you can actually buy from, of all places, Micro Center. It's brand new. It's I call it Levino, but it's Lenovo, I think is the way you pronounce it. It actually is. It's a Japanese company that bought out IBM. But they have some really good deals. If you want something like a friend said, I recommend it, you should buy this for work. You can kick it around. You won't be kicking yourself, but for buying this. But you can buy a brand new laptop for like $200 from Lenovo. And the one that I recommended was for $200. It's got the AMD Radeon R3. It's got a 500 gig hard drive. It doesn't have much RAM. It's only got 4 gigs of RAM. And honestly, it's got Windows 10. And to run it properly, you need almost, and it's not that expensive. You can put in extra stick of RAM, for $30. Because I did that with my what I'm using right now, my HP laptop. Actually, I put 8 more gigs because it had 8 gigs. I put 16 gigs, and it only cost me literally $30, so it's not bad. And the reason I would recommend the AMD one, because they put up for a couple, like $40 more. Basically, it's the same computer. It just has a different processor, is one that has the Intel, but it's the Pentium branded chip. Now, why would you go for the AMD chip? Well, because AMD actually bought out a graphics card company known as, I'll just go call it Radeon because I can't remember the name anymore. But it's got a Radeon graphics chip in there built into it. So that is actually worth it because the graphics do mean a lot. AMD does not make bad chips, so yeah, it says AMD Radeon R3. So the fact that it's got the Radeon graphics chip built into it means a lot because that will actually take some of the, the pain off of the. I try to explain this to the woman at work. It's very difficult unless you're a little bit know about how computers work. You have what's called a CPU and a GPU. Well, CPU was all you ever needed back in the past, even with graphical desktops back long time ago. Well, yeah. Well, for me, it seems like a long time ago. It would be like 10 or 20 years. It was not a big deal. Now it is, actually. To properly run something, your video chip was actually meant for just video games. In fact, in the first round years ago, when I first bought my first, because I worked at GameStop years ago over King of Prussia Mall. And I remember when you first bought like a video card for your system, all it actually worked with was your desktop. I mean, not your desktop, I apologize. With your video games. And it didn't even do that great of a job. It barely worked with video games. Because video games, back then, it was like, you can put a graphics chip in. It might make it look a little bit better. Sometimes it actually made it look really good. And the companies that were back in the day that were around, I can't remember the names of them because it's been so long. And they were really expensive, these graphics cards. But some of them actually did a pretty good job of making your games look better. Then over a period of time, they got better and better and better. NVIDIA had just been starting out, making, their niche in making graphics cards. And then they got like, wow, people are actually making graphics cards for the games that look really, really good. Not just enhancing a game that really had no way of taking advantage of having a video card. And then ATI, I think was the name of the company. It was a company from Canada. Started making graphics cards, and then they have a competitor. And there was a couple other ones out there that made graphics cards. Some of them just disappeared. And back then, I think you had was probably PCI was the very first graphics cards. Then they went to AGP, which lasted for quite a while. It was a mock-up of the PCI. Then they went to something that was kind of misleading, but it was called PCI Express, which still exists. And the graphics cards got more and more powerful, and not only did the games take advantage of it, but then it started to, these companies started like Microsoft. I don't know if Linux ever did that, but that's another OS, or Mac, would actually incorporate the GPU, which is your graphics, GPU, graphics processing unit, I guess. And then the CPU is central processing unit. So basically, it's a multiplier. It basically runs your machine. It's the heart of your machine. But the GPU strictly was for video games originally. The CPU basically took care of everything else on your desktop or anything with your running your hardware, your software, things like that. But then it started to that having a good GPU, a decent one, not even a great one, but a decent one, would actually benefit you when Windows got more and more pretty much what I call bloated. So, so going back to my original story, like now in today's age, day and time, having a good GPU incorporated with your CPU does make a difference, especially with Windows 10. So I'm looking at what I have right now. Like I have a dual-core i5 CPU in my unit. Now, I could have gotten the i7. I was actually tempted to buy the i7, but that was also dual-core for this particular laptop, so it wasn't even worth it. So I have two i5s, and you wouldn't think it would be much of a difference because the specs technically are all the same. It's running the same CPU, which is an Intel i5 dual-core hyper-thread and turn on, which the hyper-threading makes it look and work as though it's a quad-core system. So there's two physical cores with four, they're called four threads. The threads actually are where when you see four threads on a dual-core processor for Intel, that means that it acts as though it is a quad-core system. So it's got two threads per core. So one core acts as two cores act as four. Anyway, I'm going to look at my NVIDIA setup, but again, I got two of them. I was actually thinking back and forth. One time I wanted to get rid of it. Another time I didn't want to get rid of it. You know, the extra Star Wars, limited edition Star Wars laptop. Because I figured one of them I'm going to unload eventually. When and where, I don't know. Or just use it as a backup if something happens. Now, the one without the NVIDIA graphics is much, much slower. Sometimes it does not shut down properly. It takes forever because it's got to shut down everything in the background. Now, it should be, the only difference is one has, again, one's got Intel graphics, and these both do have that. Both units I have, these two Star Wars laptops. The one has Intel it has Intel graphics, but it also has an Intel Core i5. So the Intel graphics on both of these is it's called HD Graphics 520. Now, it's not the best, but it's actually pretty good for Intel because they really were never a graphics card company. They were always a CPU company making chips, that were, basically your CPU, your central processing unit. So it's not bad. It's just it gets a little sluggish once in a while. Now, the one with the GeForce graphics, which is NVIDIA, it's got a GeForce 940 chip put onto the motherboard as well. That runs much better. I mean, you're not like running circles, but in some ways you actually are. It doesn't hang up as much, and it's not as hard to shut down. When you shut it down, it shuts down in a little bit. It takes a little time. It's not like rocket science, but it's not bad also. So in both of my machines, actually, they both have 2-year accidental damage, which would be a reason why I would want to get rid of it, but I'm going to get rid of it at a loss. I'll have to see. I might ask people again if they're interested. I'd have to ask a couple $100, or at least even put it up, because the only thing that's a benefit, if it's locally sold, whoever buys it, if they have any problem, they can actually take it. Well, actually, no, I got the one computer actually went through HP, so it wouldn't matter. Either way, the one that is my slower machine could actually, if you have a problem, if you would buy it, you just send it back to HP, or they send you a box out, and they fix it in a matter of like a short period of time. Because I know a friend that said, yeah, HP is really good with their customer service. They actually got, years ago, I don't know if they still are, they used to always get scored pretty high So, anyway, I went a little bit off. I can't even remember where I started, so I apologize about that. But as far as stories go, I probably don't have too much to read. But anyway, I remember. Yeah, I got these printers, and the printers are actually not too bad. They're actually really good. The one, unfortunately, like I said, I just reconfigured my new printer. If you hardwire it, it works perfectly, like flawlessly. If you try to use it wirelessly, it just has a very difficult time. Again, I think it's from updates that Mac had put on their machine. I was almost going to say Microsoft. I've made that mistake in the past. I say one thing and I meant another. So that's kind of for me, that's a big error. So, you know what? I did put it up, I think. I bought some movie that came yesterday, and it was actually, I was surprised. It's a movie called Popcorn. And the girl who played this movie, this was 1991, so it's like almost, God, it's hard to believe. 26 years old now? 25. So it was cheaper because you can't rent it, because I was going to rent it. I tried to watch it on YouTube, and the quality was so freaking bad. It's like, there's no way in hell I'm going to watch this on YouTube. Even for a crappy movie, I want to be able to see what I'm supposed to be watching. So, I ended up buying it for like $8 online. It's not that bad. It's like the price almost nowadays probably of a rental. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I might have to read this next. And, yeah, it was $8. I got it. The quality is actually good. It does say DVD-R on the person who got it, which I was actually... I thought the guy said, he was going to do like a professional laser print of the disc. No, he or she just ripped it. And it was a little bit of a disappointment. But the quality was actually really good. So I'm like watching it. It's like an okay movie. I won't say, oh my God, this is like so cool. This is the best movie I ever saw. No, Popcorn was like all right. But the interesting thing was it wasn't that bad either. So, yeah. So I was watching that last night. I don't even think anything sticks out per se, but it was interesting. And the one thing, let me see if I can find out, because I got this other story, and I want to get, if I go in a different direction, I will forget. Let's see. Popcorn, 1991. Jill, it looks like Sholin, played this character name, if I'm saying her name right. She played this character named Maggie, and I'm like looking at her, what she looks like today, because again, it's like, 25 years ago. She looked really cute in the movie, but she looks really hot still. 25 years after the fact of making this movie. So, bottom line is she aged very well. 25 years difference. It's a quirky movie. It's supposed to be a comedy horror. At least that's how they advertise it. But I didn't take it quite as a comedy horror. I just saw it as a freakish movie, though. Nothing that's going to make you squeamish, but it was a little bizarre. I'll give it that much. Tom Villard, I'm not sure who that is. Dee Wallace, but it's a woman. Dee Wallace, okay, I know. She was the one, actually. Dee Wallace, years ago, you probably would, my one friend Matt would know her from, see if I can find it in here, but she played in those, the very first Wolfen movie or something, was it called? The one, she, at the very end, she's like a news reporter and she turns into a werewolf on TV, live TV. Was that called Wolfen or something? I can't remember. Because I know it's her. I'm trying to look at her IMDb thing. It says, why does it say she was in Cujo? Let's see. Fight Club. Wow. Well, when did that come out, that first? Because I swear it's got to be the same woman. Police Story, Barney Jones, Starsky and Hutch, Hills Have Eyes, Stepford Wives. This is for Dee Wallace, by the way. I could swear, because I know Well, they got some screenshots of movies. Maybe they have them marked, because I almost 100% sure that's her. Because, the screenshots, obviously. She was in E.T. Oh, I think in the Howlin', I think she was in the Howlin', right? Trying to figure out. I didn't mean to spend this much time, by the way. It's funny because she actually looks better now than she did. Okay, she did play in Cujo. But personally, I think she looks better now than she did in the Howlin'. Maybe I'm confusing her for somebody else, so I'm going to look. Because I can't remember now. No, actually it does. It says the Howlin' has Dee Wallace, Patrick McGee, if I'm saying it right. He was the one who played the one Avenger, big show, The Avengers, and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, Dee Wallace, she did play in the original Howlin'. That was 1981. And, well, that would explain. She actually looks much better now, I think, than she did. Well, it's a publicity shot, too, so that's not really saying too much. But Dee Wallace, she played the mom of Jill Sholin, Derek Rydell, Malcolm, no, not Malcolm McDowell, but Malcolm, I better give up on these names. But there was some recognizable faces. That's the thing I wanted to mention. I'm going to see. This one woman, Karen Lore. I can't. She actually looks really hot. Still. Ray Walton. Is it Ray Walton? He played in Fast Time at Richmond High. He was my favorite Martian from years ago. He died in 2001. It's hard to believe. I didn't even know when he passed away, actually. But he was in this movie, too. He was just like a small part. I would like to call it a cameo, but do you really call it that with him? Because he's been known for being in different films. Obviously, again, the same actor who played in My Favorite Martian was in this movie called Popcorn from 1981. So I do own a copy. Now, I could have bought one that was a legit copy for $20, but I was like, you know what? $8 isn't bad because that included the shipping and stuff. So I don't have a problem with that. $20 for something that's going to be a dust collector is kind of not worth it. And just for the sake that I could say, oh, okay, I bought it and then I can resell it. Well, you know what? What I'll get for for selling it is not going to make it worth paying the extra $10 because I'll barely get like 2 cents or maybe $1 for it. So why buy something thinking, well, hey, if I buy the $20 one, at least I'll get some cash back because it's legal. But it's not going to be worth the money I'll get for it. It's just basically it's not going to pan out. I apologize right now because I'm actually looking see if there's anything that would be worth buying or renting on VHS Misfits on Facebook. So this person, amongst other some horror websites, this is where I get all my ideas or where I, rent these movies and I talk about them or I buy these movies or whatever, either through streaming or just rips or whatever. Because some of these, look fairly damn cool. And the fact that, hey, you know what? Would have loved to see these films when I was a kid if I knew they were around, but I didn't, or probably I just couldn't watch. Well, there was no limit to what I was able to watch. My parents actually took me to anything I wanted to go to, practically. But there's certain things that just kind of slipped through my fingers that I didn't even know existed. So I figured, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll just get these now and watch them and see if they're really bad or really good. As long as it's not, too expensive. Some of them I've been buying them and just to see what they are, because I grew up which I mentioned previous times. You know, with a lot of these weird horror movies, even like Saturday afternoons when I was a little kid. I just grew up and I always loved horror movies, so I always look for something I haven't seen, because you can always watch, which I do, watch the same horror movie or movies over and over again, but they get kind of old after a while. You want to see something that you've never seen before and experience something that is new. So that's kind of why I do this, or why I've been doing this. Alrighty, so there's not much else on that. Now, here's the one thing I wanted to mention. There is some pictures. Somebody was in this is mentalflare.com, but I think they actually got it. The story on Easter Island is what I wanted to say. No, it was some Mental Flare. But they got some pictures, if you go on mentalflare.com, that on Easter Island, those heads that they said now have bodies to them, those statue figures or whatever, they actually did dig down, and they actually have exposed... Sorry, I'm trying to pay attention to my levels. Yeah, they actually do. They weren't not kidding. They do actually have... body, a full body in stone. It's not just they were correct about that. There is not just what do you call it? It's not just a head. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, did it get buried over time? Maybe it's from like lava or something, I guess. Because is Easter Island like a volcanic island? I have no clue. I would assume that's got to be the reason. I got distracted too. It's not that hard. Actually, a woman. I should check back at this in the bathing suit. Yeah. So if you go on there and check it out, apologize. I didn't really realize my sound was up on my thing. Yeah, I want to see if I can kind of describe what it looks like. Well, they show these figures on Easter Island. That's what it is, right? Yeah, Easter Island. And they show that these, anthropologists or whatever, they are digging down pretty deep. And again, it doesn't stop for what we were used to seeing. It actually goes much, much further down, like the stone figures, which is actually kind of interesting. I mean, it really had taken him this long to figure out there was more to those stone figures than just heads. I mean, again, it could have been covered over by, which turned into like soil, but like volcanic ash and stuff. So that's really cool. You can, again, I put that up. Yeah, it's going to be a short. It is going to actually be a short show tonight, I think. I always say that, but I never do. I'm trying to keep away from the obvious stories because, my show is not about the obvious. I try not to, at least. So anyway, one thing was I want to, and I really could not get good pictures. I didn't want to push my luck, bottom line. So I tried to take some pictures with my regular camera, and they turned out like crap. I only had taken 2. I generally take like a couple hundred pictures. And what I'm talking about, I was at this thing called Hollywood Babylon with Kevin Smith, and what is his name now? He's actually originally from Philadelphia. Let me look it up, because honestly, I do forget that too. You know what? All day I could remember this guy's name, and now I forgot it. And you know what? I tried to download on my iPhone the Smodcast thing. I couldn't get it to work. I could not get it to work, even on my phone. That's pretty bad, actually. Yeah, it's called Hollywood Babylon Smodcast. You can get it on Smodcast. Oh, okay. Here we go. Ralph Garman. So, I got to keep an eye on Kevin Smith. He said he said at a show he's going to do down in Philly, not down in Philly, in Red Bank, either at an ice skating rink or where he shot Clerks. he actually wants to on the ice skating rink on the floor, this ice skating rink in Red Bank. He wants to show the movie Yoga Hosers. And he said that's choice number 2, which is going to be the one he's going to probably have to use. But what he may be doing, Kevin Smith, he said he'd really like to do, is go back where he originally, I subscribed to his YouTube channel for his Smodcast. I couldn't get it to work again on my phone. Isn't a Smodcast basically meant for, listening to radio shows on your, I would assume like most people do it on their phone. So, anyway, it didn't work for me. But he wants to show Yoga Hosers. He's doing this tour of the movie, which I'm going to look up, everywhere except Pennsylvania or in Jersey, because sometimes her make, definitely in Jersey, make a stop at his hometown and show his new movie, or in Philadelphia. He hasn't done either or. Now he's saying, I'm going to show it in Red Bank. I don't know when. I'm trying to work out the kinks. And he wants to show it on the roof of where he shot Clerks, that convenience store, which it may be a difficult thing to do. One, he's going to have to put like a screen. I would assume he's going to have to put a screen on top of the building, on top of, I think that's what he wants to do, is what I gathered, is put a big projection screen, because I think there's a field across from that convenience store. Like, there's nothing going on. The people could see it from there, but it's going to still kind of be dumb. But, hey, I'll keep an eye open. So I'm going to put in Yoga Hosers. I actually thought it looked pretty interesting, the movie. I'm just going to put in Yoga Hosers tour. Yeah, because he was really pushing this, with this, doing these tours. And he said now he's going to add Red Bank, so I'm trying to see if I can find anything. I'm just going to put in Yoga Hosers Red Bank. Now, the funny thing is, when he actually does this stuff, for some reason, when he was in Red Bank, when he showed Tusk, it really didn't draw that much of a crowd. It drew a crowd, but it's nothing like what he gets in other parts of Jersey, nor is it as big. Personally, it's not as big as I don't think as it was even like down in Atlantic City, nor was it as big as it was in Philly. I mean, Philly was just ridiculous. I got there a couple hours ahead of time, and people were actually already lining up. Now, the bad thing was the lines to go see it were actually much longer for the VIP, because I got a VIP ticket, than it was for the regular ticket. The regular ticket line was like the way the line should have been for the VIP tickets. So that kind of got me really a little bit pissed off. Actually, it's kind of funny because I have my oldest brother. He lives near Durham, North Carolina. Maybe he lives there. I'm not sure. They're actually showing it in the theaters on July 8th in, a private or what do you call it? Not a private screening, but a short screening in Durham, North Carolina. It almost would give me a reason to go down to visit my oldest brother, but I won't. I'm sorry to say that. I would, but I just, I'd rather see it. Because, see, here's the problem. Yoga Hosers, unfortunately, won't come out until September now. So it's not until the end of the year. It's supposed to come out earlier. Now it's coming out later. But if you are interested, just download official poster. I didn't know you could do that. I think I will. Image, Yoga Hosers, 27 by 40 on sheet. View, download it. See what it looks like. So he's giving out free posters online. You have to just print them out yourself. But anyway, the ticket information will be available. It says he's playing in Indianapolis, June 18th, Durham, North Carolina, July 8th, in California, basically, July 12th, San Francisco, July 17th, and Fandom Feast in Kentucky on July 30th. So he doesn't have that many locations, and it seems like he's even got less. Yeah, it's still downloaded. Must be a big poster. Even less for, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm just kind of pissed off about the whole thing. So yeah, I mean that was the highlight, and it's funny because I got busted on by a friend one time. He says, "Yeah, the penis jokes are too sterned out." It's like me doing them is. Oh, by the way, the thing that's cool. Why I really wanted to do this thing, that is a meet and greet, by the way. Before I forget, for Kevin Smith's. It's so small I can barely see. Well, yeah, it's so small. The print on what you get. I'm trying to read it. It says, meet and greet tickets include a VIP entry into the movie, exclusive after show meet and greet with Kevin Smith. So yeah, the Yoga Hosers tour does include meeting Kevin Smith. It's like, do I really want to go all the way down to Durham? I mean, I love to meet my brother, but that's kind of far. Personal photograph with Kevin Smith. Digital, whatever. And I'm sure it's not that expensive. Let me see what he's charging. Just say I would go down to Durham, which is kind of far, by the way, July 8th. Meet and greet package. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, okay, it's $150. It says now, okay, for more info, VIP early entry into venue, exclusive after show meet and greet with Kevin Smith, personal photograph of Kevin Smith, digital advanced copy of Yoga Hoser. So that's pretty cool. So you get the movie right away. Collectible Yoga Hosers movie poster autographed by Kevin Smith, limited edition Yoga Hosers comic book, autographed by Kevin Smith, and exclusive Yoga Hosers VIP merchandise item. Official meet and greet laminate and limited availability. Well, it's actually still available, so that's saying a lot. Again, I just don't know, because I know when my brother comes up from that area, it's not around the corner. It's the closest it will be around me is next month. I'm down in Durham. And honestly, I would get a hotel. I don't want to stay with my brother. I would meet up with him, but I would not. I'll have to think about that. I wish he would have done it in, what do you call it? He would have done it in Red Bank. Red Bank I don't have a problem with. I'll drive out there. Durham is just I might have to look into it later and seriously probably consider doing it, because it is a personal meet and greet. My reason for meeting up with him would be very selfish too. I would ask, hey, as hard as this may be for you to do, could you do a plug for my show? I've been trying to do this with Kevin Smith for a very, very long time. So I would be able to do it. I'd be able to meet up with my brother. Would I do it? That's probably I would do it, but I don't know. And he did not sell out in Durham. So that'd be a strong possibility at this point. I don't know. I'm not going to quote on anything. So anyway, today actually, I almost lied because my show is going to be at least an hour. It's funny because I never listen to my one friend Matt listens to this guy Dennis Prager, and it was like, okay, I listened to all the shows from this week of Rush Limbaugh, because that's what my main show is, Rush Limbaugh. And it was like, okay, I have nothing to listen to. And Rush wasn't on. This is another thing. So normally I'll go back and listen to the shows again in case I miss anything. So it was like, okay, there's nothing to listen to. I couldn't get Kevin Smith's Modcast to work, which really, really pissed me off. So it's like, okay, so what else is there to do? Because I can't listen to a Smodcast because they're not working on my phone, my iPhone. What I do is I hook it up to this Bose speaker. I got it for like $100, $130. And yeah, it was like, okay, this would be cool. I really want to look in that thing for Durham too now, because I didn't realize them being involved all that. It's around my brother. Sorry about that. I do get really easily distracted. I understand that. Yeah. So, what was I going to say? God, So, yeah, there was like, I listened to all of Rush. There was like nothing else to listen to because it was like all these different guys. I used one of them this week. I don't have to check who it is again without ruining my thing. Look at my because I wrote it in my one show that I did the other day. So I got to do a quick look. Episodes. Trying to remember which one it was actually. Did I kind of add it a little bit? Because I do actually give a little bit of a brief what my episodes. Oh, Buck Sexton. So it was my last show. I added Buck Sexton onto the show. And I did. I added the segment Buck Sexton. So Buck Sexton actually, surprisingly, Rush had him cover more than one show. Normally he kind of floats around on who he allows to do his shows. So here this time he had Buck Sexton, and it was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He has Buck Sexton doing more than one, but yeah, there's still only so much I can listen. You know, Buck Sexton's cool, but his voice gets a little irritating to me. So that being said, it was like, okay, I want to listen to something different. Maybe I could just, I can't get the Smodcast to work. They still wouldn't work on my phone at home or away from the house. You think, okay, it would be the opposite. They should really work at home. No, they didn't. So I figured, wait, if they don't work at home, what if I try them away from the house? Maybe they will work better that way. No, they didn't work either way. Because, maybe it's just my internet connection with the router at home. Because I have my iPhone hooked up to the router when I'm in the house. So that wasn't the case. It was just it was not working at all. So anyway, it was like, okay, let me see what there is for like talk radio on my iPhone. I could, what kind of apps I could download. One of them actually had because I put in local radio talk shows. Some of you have to pay for the apps. Other ones you don't. It's like I already paid for Rush. I don't need to pay for anybody else because next week, starting after Monday, I will be listening to Rush again. I don't need all these other people. So I put in, and it, like, surprisingly, it was good, but they have 1210, I think, on the one, which is cool. 1210 is, like, the big one. And then 990, if I remember. Is it 990? Radio station, AM, of course, for both. And it had Dennis Prager on. It was like, okay, Dennis Prager, I know my friend Matt always talks about. I was like, okay, I'll listen to him because I'm trying to get ready. I need something to listen to. And, I'll find material sometimes for shows, which I did, actually. And it was funny because I was running around, and Dennis Prager was talking about a lot of interesting topics. But then he mentioned this one name. I'll put it out there now. Angela Davis. I was like, oh, wow, Angela Davis. I don't know who she is. The name kind of rings a bell. But he was really going off about how she got away. She killed some people, and she got away with murder charges. And then she, like, gets, treated like she's some type of hero. Like, and he kind of, Dennis Prager compared Angela Davis to how to O.J. Simpson on how he got off, because she got away with murder. Like, physically, she got away with murder. So I had to look her up, and what the funny thing was, when I was cleaning my room trying to look for some scans, old doctor scans, I had some brain scan done. Well, I can't find it. It was put on a CD-ROM for me to keep. case I've ever had any other problems, they could just look back and refer to these scans where I lost them. Well, right before I did that a couple years ago, I actually did put them up on Facebook, my brain scans. So I still have the pictures on Facebook. I just don't have the copy on the disk. So anyway, so that kind of put me behind, and I had all these key notes that Dennis Prager was talking about today, and guess what? I threw them out. I threw them in the garbage can. So how do you remember Angela Davis, Walter? Because I forgot everything I wrote down. He brought up a lot of interesting points. Well, because I looked online and I had tried to check out, okay, where else can I get the radio station of 990 or any other station that's playing Dennis Prager, for recaps of his show from last week? Well, here I was able to find it. They did do the recap, and they played the exact same show that I had listened to earlier yesterday. So this was excellent. It was like, okay, now I can actually write down. There was other key notes I wrote down, but they got all either paper shredded or they're somewhere, but they're not in my possession. But I got Angela Davis, and he was really going off about her. So I looked it up. I had to look up some information. You can find her on Wikipedia, which is going to give you a basically sugar-coated view of what she really stands for. But there was something I found. It was on NewYorkTimes.com. It says Angela Davis acquitted on all charges. This was years ago. It says San Jose, or whatever you say, California, June 4th. After just 13 hours of deliberations, an all-white jury found Angela Davis is not guilty today of murder, kidnapping, and criminal conspiracy charges, which she was actually guilty of all that stuff. She actually kidnapped and murdered people. I don't know how many. I thought it was 3. This was on June 5th, 1972. But she got acquitted on everything. So she got away literally with murder. The jury returned its verdict at 12:35 p.m., clearing the 28-year-old black militant of all charges against her. The announcement touched off a demonstrations so emotional the judge, Richard E. Arson or something, it's not arson, but I don't know, threatened to clear the courtroom. So, yeah, she murdered people. I don't know the whole story, but she got acquitted on everything she did. Verdict on 3 counts. So the report heard yesterday. I'm trying to see what exactly she was charged with, which she was guilty of, but she got away with it. Have you reached a verdict? Yes, the verdict. So Dennis Prager was just bringing this up and how, it's just ridiculous. And he was bringing it up, I guess, because what's happening with Hillary Clinton now, getting away with what she does. So, and she is a very leftist person. She was guilty of criminal charges. Yeah, and it says, because he was bringing this up, born January 26, 1944, is an American political activist. She's part of the Black Panthers, I think, too. It says academic scholar and author. She emerged as a predominant counterculture activist and racial in the 1960s as a leader of Communist Party USA. So, yeah, it says Communist Party USA. Maybe this is why I brought it up, because we was talking about communism on Friday's show. And had close relations with the Black Panther Party through her involvement in the civil rights movement. Her interests include prisoner rights. She found it critical resistance, blah, blah, blah. You can see all this stuff, but she got away. What he was trying to bring up is she got away with murder charges. She literally killed people and got away with it. Let's see. Arrest and trial. Davis was a supporter of. Oh, okay. She killed 3 inmates and a prison guard. I remember him talking about that. And she got away with it, too. On August 7th, 1970, Jonathan Jackson, a heavily armed 17-year-old African-American high school student, gained control over a courtroom in Marin County, California. But it seemed like even though she got acquitted of these murder charges, so it was like 4 people in all she killed. Let's see what it says again. Somehow she got acquitted, and yeah, it's just kind of ridiculous. So you shouldn't. I mean, if somebody's, who has done some type of crime, should not get away with it because you feel like it's, you feel guilty if you charge them. But it says Davis, it said she killed 3 inmates and a prison guard. But again, Prager was talking about this today. I would love to see it in his words. Let me see if I can just put in Dennis Prager on Angela Davis. I don't know if it's going to come up. I'm going to try. Trying it right now. American hater, leftist racial Angela Davis now feted as a liberal hero. Yeah, it's on Dennis Prager's webpage. Please pass. It says, please pass the vomit bags. Quickly, you can never be too far left for American left. That's what Dennis Prager put. But you have to actually pay to listen to the whole thing. He doesn't... See, the thing is, at least Rush actually gives you transcripts. If you don't want to buy a show, you can actually read the whole thing, which is fine. Because that's all I'd really want to do. And I think what got him started was because of Bernie Sanders, because he's a real leftist socialist. And he got into about... let me put her name. Angela Davis. So, yeah, I mean, and it was interesting. Again, unfortunately, you'd have to buy it, but the stuff she got away with is just very interesting. And she was made into like a hero for killing people. And, they don't see it as her, up on murder charges. Because, again, Prager basically did say right out on the show, he mentioned that this is the same way how O.J. Simpson got away with the same thing. And it's true, too, by the way. I'm not making this stuff up. He's not making it up. You can't hide the truth. You can only fabricate it, but you can't hide what actually did happen. That's the bottom line. So there was that, and I did want to mention that. But, yeah, it is a little bit disturbing how she got away with it. Yeah, I've been kind of like, I don't know, but I remember my mother actually woke me up on Sunday morning. I was like, went to bed pretty late, trying to get things straightened up. And she told me about what happened in Florida. And it was like, she said Orlando, Florida. So at first it was like, okay. She says, it was a terrorist attack. I was like, wow. And she said, now it's happening in Florida. Now, I do have some stories, by the way, on that, because apparently this was a premeditated thing. This is not something that just came, because then my parents later on said, this guy got upset. He went to I thought he said a gay bar with his son or something like that. This is what my parents told me, and he got upset seeing these 2 guys making out in the bathroom. He got so upset he started shooting. He killed 50 people and injured 50 more. And it was like, wow. So how's a guy who gets upset because he's a homophobic person, how's that translating into sorry about that, into being a terrorist. Well, see, I found some articles on Facebook that were like from different newspapers, and it actually did say, yeah, the guy was. My friend actually mentioned me first. My friend Todd. He said, no, this guy was like screaming out like Islamic stuff as he was killing these people. He did it in what's its one story? It's from Daily Mail, Australia. Orlando shooting controversial anti-homosexual. Like he was a jihadist or something is what I think what they were kind of saying in a couple of these articles. And he was doing it in the name of jihad or whatever you say. I'm not actually explaining that properly, but yeah, that's his thing. And then they said it was. I saw some article and see I did post it because I knew I would forget. Let me go to my homepage on Facebook because I did see something. My mom made an interesting point, by the way, my mother. She said, you know what, it's kind of scary because just that was another thing that was just announced, like, what was that, a couple days ago, with this girl from, she was one of the finalists in The Voice, got shot in the head by this guy, Kevin James, and liberal or something, and he went to a meet and greet. So that kind of scares me because, see, I go to those meet and greets. I'm much older now, but I go to even the ones with these kids because I just enjoy doing it. It's fun, for the shits and giggles. Well, this guy, like, he was 27 and his hair was thinning it out. I was like, wow, they're going to probably think I'm going to be like this Kevin guy. And, go to this meet and greet because I'm supposed to go to one in August to meet this one Disney kid. And they're going to probably think, oh, my God, this guy could be one of these, guys who's going to flip out and shoot the girl in the head. It's like, no, that's the last thing I would ever think of doing. I go just for the fun of going to these things. Anyway, it was Christina Grimmie or something. She just got shot. It says right here, it was from the New York Times, by the way. Ex-Voice star shot dead while greeting fans after concert. It was a meet and greet. It was a two-gun stranger, possibly a deranged fan, who murdered the Voice singer and YouTube star Christina Grimmie as she signed autographs after the concert in Orlando. That's kind of I didn't think about that. That was also in Orlando after a Friday night concert. Police said Grimmie, 22, did not know the 27-year-old who opened fire as the Pretty Pop Belter signed autographs. So it was a meet and greet, and he shot her. I thought I read somewhere he shot her actually in the head. So that's like instant death. And that's a real shame, but I just don't understand why. But, and then you had this thing, as my mother said, which she's right, you had this thing in also in Orlando just Sunday morning, and where, this guy opens fire on these people. Okay, I found this story I was looking for. It says ISIS announced Florida threat 3 days ago. Well, it was like 3 days prior to this happening. Will attack Florida. So they had this pre-planned. On Saturday night, an Islamist extremist murdered 50 people at a Pulse gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. So both this girl and this shooting both happened in Orlando. Now, this article I'm reading right now came from the gatewaypundit.com, and there's a little bit more on that. So this was all set up ahead of time, and now they're trying to push it off. Well, this guy was just, he was crazy. He had issues, past issues. No, this guy knew what he was doing. Don't rub it off as this guy was nuts. This guy was a jihadist, and reason they're going to try to rub it off as, oh, this guy's nuts. And he was a Democrat. He was registered in America as a Democrat, so he was he was one of these people, probably came over as a refugee, I'd assume, or something else. Made himself part of our country, was a registered Democrat, which you're not going to hear about. My friend told me this, and he was a jihadist who was working for them. So, and you're not going to hear about any of that stuff because that stuff is not important. That's just, they don't want you to hear that because that's just going to really incriminate Hillary Clinton. Probably not that much because she's already incriminated herself and she's gotten away with everything she's done so far. So what's going to stop? How's this going to hurt her? Probably not at all. So I said to a friend, I was thinking this like I got to do a show and say this. Now, hear me out clearly right now. This would never happen, but I'm just saying it would be pretty funny if Donald Trump would get because he's obviously going to get the Republican nomination. They're going to stop it, but I think he'll get it anyway. It'd be really funny. I mean, this is never going to happen. Don't worry, it's not going to happen. I'm just saying, in an imaginary world in Walter's head, can you imagine if he now? Just hear me out. If he would actually say, "Okay, I want to take Bernie Sanders as my vice president," that would be freaking hilarious. I mean, I know Bernie Sanders is a nutcase. The man is a total socialist. But even as vice president, he really wouldn't have much that he could do. I mean, he'll have the basically the label of being vice president, but he really wouldn't be the commander-in-chief. Even if he would have the power, as much power as the commander-in-chief, that is kind of like only one person. There's other people within that party that are also responsible for what goes on, or in the House and the Senate. It's not just one man. One man could veto some bills or whatever, but he can't. He doesn't have total power as people make it out to be. It would just be funny because my reason for saying that would be a sure shot just for the enjoyment, for my pleasure, if that could ever happen, if it could happen, the pleasure I'd get out of it, it would be definitely death to Hillary Clinton. Like, she would never be able to run again. She'd be too old. And this is like her last hurrah. Like, she wants to get, she's like so gung-ho on becoming president. Like, this is going to be her last thing. That would be shot out the fucking window if that happened. It would be like she would never be able to do it again. It'd be a big slap on the face for her, especially if she got taken over from the man she got more delegates over, super delegates over. That would be like basically ripping her asshole apart. I mean, that would be like the worst thing you could do to her. It'd be more than just a slap in the face. It'd be like setting her face on fire, which I would just be so, as much as Bernie Sanders would be a disgrace as vice president, it would just be worth it if he did that, because that would be just like the last, nail in her coffin. Like, it couldn't get any worse for her. The humiliation would be so bad on that. I mean, just thinking about it, just fantasizing, it just makes me so happy. I'm not even kidding. I mean, that's pretty bad, but I'm being serious. So, okay, so I just had to get that out there. On a lighter note, it's funny, on June 18th in Allentown, I always make my friend's brother, my friend Todd, his brother Paul, always makes jokes about things being free. He always, it's an inside joke between Paul and Todd. But I try to tell these guys, because this is funny, but this is no joke either. In Lehigh Valley in Allentown, they have a comic book convention that is free. You actually get in for free. So there's got to be other ways they make money. I was actually remotely interested in going for one reason only, because I always wanted to meet up with this one girl that I always get her name wrong. Gianova or something. I don't know how to say her name. She's a scream queen. I saw her one time, and there's something about her. Just, she's got a very pleasant personality, and she plays in these really bad horror movies. So she's going to be at this free comic book convention. It was like, okay, it's got two good things. It's free, and this I can't say her name right. She's going to be there too, the scream queen. So it would be kind of cool to see for that. I did post something on my Facebook page that was really cool. I guess somebody, for nostalgic reasons, And they put it on the horror website. You can actually get a PlayStation. Looks like it is. It's a PlayStation 4. Maybe it was hand painted though. PlayStation 4 painted to look like the Jason Voorhees mask. Like it's got the little red markings and it's white and all dirty looking deliberately. But it looks actually pretty cool. It says Wicked Friday the 13th Jason PlayStation controller. It is the PlayStation 4 one. Who'd love to own one of these? Check out the Instagram Unique Intuitions. So it's from Unique Intuitions, which I did like it. I guess it's stuff they are selling. I don't know. They don't have a link, but they said it's on Instagram as well, I guess. Not Instagram. Maybe they have a link from there. I don't know, but it is pretty cool looking. So I wanted to mention that. Yeah, I actually did do a normal show. I'm kind of surprised. Funny pictures I found from someone. I basically stole them. I didn't know this, but apparently Leonard Nimoy, who passed away not too long ago, actually played Sherlock Holmes because there was actually the playwright paper, the advertisement. It says the Royal Shakespeare Company production, Leonard Nimoy, Sherlock Holmes. A play by Arthur Conan Doyle's and William Gillette. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because they have him in the gear playing Sherlock Holmes. That was pretty funny. Very cool picture I saw in case you're interested. I'm a big Evil Dead person. You can get a t-shirt of Evil Dead with the new the new emblem of the Evil Dead with that chick that I really like. You can buy a t-shirt. And it has a hand on there, but it's given the horn sign, the Satan sign that, rockers always give with the two fingers. And it is really cool looking, actually. It says Evil Dead, and it's got, it's like $22, though, for the t-shirt. You can get a hoodie for like $40. But it's got Evil Dead with the rock. I guess hail. I don't know if that's what it actually means. Is it hail Satan? But the two fingers up. It actually looks pretty fucking cool. Pretty cool. Yeah. I try to keep away from profanity, but I couldn't help it tonight. So that was pretty funny. I do got some other interesting stuff on my page, but I'm not going to read it all. But actually, one thing that was pretty cool because I actually like those. I don't know why they have to redo them now. It says Spawn's going to get a reboot and will be a rated R version. So Spawn, which I actually really like those movies because I did watch them. I thought they were really cool. They're going to do a reboot, and it says for years a Spawn reboot has been spoken of, and in 2014 it was announced that the movie is was going to be going into production. So I guess it never did. It is. Now, probably eventually is going to get closer, and you're shooting for a rated R rating. Now, you know why that all started, by the way, was because the fact that now What do you call did really well? Deadpool. The fact that Deadpool got a rated R rating, it made so much money, more than they ever could imagine, that now they decided, okay, you know what? We're going to make some more rated R movies, which I don't have a problem with. I really don't. So that kind of like intrigued me. And yeah, there was something I was going to look at. I saw that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, there was something I put on. I don't believe it because I know how they mock things. But it was from paranormalhorror.com. Like Paul would like this, Paul Thomas. But it says a haunted doll that apparently tried to murder its previous owner has been filmed moving at night. And you can kind of tell the doll did not move. They shot like with infrared. They said, "Oh yeah, the doll moved. We can show you. We got it on film." Well, guess what? It was not even the doll that moved. The doll never moved in this film footage. And I was like actually getting chills. I was like, oh my God, they actually got a possessed doll? Because, you know, that's what Annabelle's about. That's what that movie is. What was Annabelle in? The doll, Annabelle. Anyway, let me see, because I can't remember. I'm just putting, if I can't spell, Annabelle Daw. I can't remember the name of the movie, and it's not coming up. Annabelle's coming up. It's Annabelle story. Because they're making another one now. Was there like 3 movies already? Annabelle story shared by... Yeah, I read that the other day. What was Annabelle? That movie, Annabelle, actually did creep me out a little bit. I didn't watch the whole thing, but a lot of it, what I did watch, it was on HBO one night, and I was watching part of it, really scared the crap out of me. I mean, literally was giving me nightmares watching it. Watching it gave me nightmares. I wasn't even asleep yet. I was getting nightmares. So, anyway, they cut to the chase. They shoot this video. It's like a minute long. They proclaim that the doll moved. It's like, no, the doll didn't fucking move. It was in a glass box. And they said the box is sealed. And, it was a puppet with, strings, the wooden thing you hold on to. They were proclaiming, oh, yeah, well, the doll moved. No, the wooden thing fell over. It's The Conjuring, by the way, was where Annabelle came from. And it was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Because I heard when me and Todd and Paul went to, because they said that's haunted too, Penhurst, they actually said, yeah, the guys who do paranormal activity, they actually did admit, they said, oh yeah, when the guys from paranormal activity were there, they were told, like the people like a grip or somebody else in the backdrop, they said just throw something. Because you got to make it look like, to keep the audience alive or, watching it, you got to make it look like something happened. So that stuff's all actually really faked. It's not even real. So even though it's, supposed to be real and it's filmed live and shit like that, these paranormal activity things, they actually openly admit it. Yeah, they were told, throw a chair in front of the camera, blah, blah, blah. Make something look like it's moving just to freak people out. But it's all like, it's not even mirrors. It's just, just stupid shit to get, and people believe it. So that's the thing. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. 2 other things. I put this up. I thought it was so funny. From some other country, I guess, because it wasn't in English. Well, I'll see if I can look at it. Where did it come from? Maybe it came from, yeah, this is all in English. But some foreign film from 109, I guess it's a radio station, they were talking about this. It's a movie that says Hitler, but it's actually it's a Pakistani gangster movie. So it's funny. It says your brain cannot handle Hitler, a movie about it's Hitlar, Hitler. A movie about Hitler's evil Pakistani gangster son. So, if you want to see it, it's actually got some footage. I got it on my Facebook page. I just couldn't help it. It was like a Pakistani Hitler movie. It was just hilarious. I had to, put that up. I forgot about this, by the way. Kevin Smith didn't mention this on Saturday night. Kevin Smith wants to direct Netflix Daredevil and the Defenders, which will be when they get all the different characters together. He said he will be doing that. He will be doing an episode of Daredevil season 3. That's a fact. So I put up this picture. I know my people get annoyed, but I love cats. I've always loved cats. So somebody has a cat playing in the box, like he's tapping on something. So what they do when a cat's tapping on the top of the box, they put the sound of Morse code, because once in a while the cat stops. It's a little redundant, because the cat does it for quite a few minutes, or actually it seemed like a few minutes. It was only 40 seconds, but the cat is amazed by tapping the box, so it does look like he's tapping out Morse code, but then once in a while the cat just stops playing with the box, like the top, and tapping down on it. So the guy stopped making sound effect in the background. He added it in, obviously, later on. But it's kind of cute. It's kind of funny. So that's the best I can give you as a good story. I mean, I could mention what Kevin Smith said, talked about. Because some people actually videotaped the whole damn thing. on their phones. It was like, you know what? There was a big bouncer there. He looked at me, and I know even when I pulled out my camera, they were like ready to jump me. And I was like, okay, I will not pull out my camera. I will not videotape because you're going to be on my neck. But there was a woman right next to me who was videotaping the whole freaking thing on her cell phone and making it very obvious. But they didn't stop her. So that really kind of got me irritated. But it's like, I don't want to get kicked out of here. So screw it. I won't, take anything. Video or pictures. I tried to, and they turned out like real crap, I think, for the most part. I did get a couple on my cell phone. Those actually turned out a little bit better because the lighting was so pretty bad. And generally, my pictures on my camera on my cell phone look like crap. But for once, I'm looking at them right now, they didn't turn out too bad for being on a cell phone. Because every time, again, I pulled out my camera, they were like, the guy was like his ass was leaning off the seat. I was like, okay, I'm putting my camera back in the thing, and I'll just pull out my cell phone camera. Whatever pleases you. So I did, I didn't want to get thrown out because I known from the past they have thrown people. It was out down at the Trocadero. They do throw people out, just to let you know. So I don't want to be the person who's going to be the next person thrown out of there. But he did talk about certain things. Even I didn't know this, but he claims, which I don't know. My friend said the same thing. He says that and Kevin had a good point. Kevin Smith. He's but they were picking on Axl Rose, not necessarily, but they said, yeah, everybody's like picking on Axl Rose because for a while there he was really fat. And he actually broke his leg or something, so he was in a wheelchair. I forget what band he was in. Was it AC/DC or anything? He was doing the vocals or whatever. I don't know. So they got these pictures where he looks really bad, Axl Rose. He looks horrendous. He looks horrible, which really pissed off Axl Rose. So now he paid all this money to get all those pictures taken off the internet. And Kevin Smith had a very valid point, though. He says, when you ask somebody, you pay the money, like, hey, I want these removed off the internet, these pictures of Axl Rose, I want these gone. What happens? And he went, poof, like it's going to explode because when you tell somebody, people are bad, especially on the internet. You tell somebody, okay, we want these gone. It's going to make, and people find out, like, listen, Axl Rose wants all these pictures gone because he doesn't look like that anymore. More people are going to make sure, like I do the same thing. I'm guilty of it. Guilty as charged. I would do the same thing. I'll put up even more so the fact that you are so irritated by these photographs that I'm going to even put up more pictures just to piss you off even more so. So, yeah. So, well, I was looking at that thing again for Kevin Smith. I'm glued on that thing now. I was like, wow, you even got me more interested. Even though you're down at North Carolina, you dickhead. Because I really want to see Yoga Hosers too. Also, yeah. So that was it was kind of funny. And then he was like making jokes about, which they were really mocking. That was, Justin Bieber, how he got punched out by this guy who he really pissed. He picked a fight with the wrong guy, a really big guy too, like twice his size. I mean, Justin Bieber's got a big mouth, so they played it in slow mo when the guy was punching him out, and they were saying, how did Philadelphia, which I don't follow sports, but they said, how did Philadelphia? Kevin Smith said this. How did you let Kevin Smith? Justin Bieber wear a hockey jersey, and it was one in particular. I'm going to have to look that up now because I can't remember. I don't know anything about hockey. I don't know anything about any sports because I hate sports. I really do. So guess what Walter's doing? Wait, what was that? So something interesting. It's probably already disappeared. Injustice 2 gameplay reveals. Okay. Actually, I like that game. Injustice was a superhero game for your console, and it was actually really cool. Okay, let me go back to Walter on iWalter. And I'll promise, this is going to be the last thing I'll talk about. I honestly do. I might wake up my parents at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's almost 4. Maybe I'll have to wait till tomorrow. They would be pissed off. What was I looking for now? Oh, okay. The pictures of Kevin Smith. Yeah, it's funny. The ones I had taken on my camera were like garbage. The ones I had taken on my cell phone actually turned out pretty decent. I'm looking for the one with Justin Bieber. They actually said they made now a an emoji or something. You know, they made like those little things you can put on your, I guess when you do instant message, those little pictures. They have one of Justin Bieber. It's like, who the hell would make that? They were making a busting on that too. Anyway, he's got a Flyer jersey on. It says Bieber, and it says number 16. I don't know who number 16 is of the Flyers, but they were really making a big joke. It's like, how would you let him wear so-and-so's hockey jersey? Let's see. Maybe I can look it up. Let's put Flyers 16. Bobby Clark. Okay, that sounds right. So they said, how would you allow Justin Bieber to wear, I guess, in his concert that he did in Philly, the Bobby Clark hockey jersey? So apparently the guy's really famous. You know, he was actually from Canada. He played for the Flyers. That really pissed off Kevin Smith because he's got that big thing for Bobby, you know, for not Bobby Clark. Maybe he does too. But, you know, this hockey player that, you know, he has a big thing for Canada. And here, Justin Bieber somehow was able to wear Bobby Clark from the Flyers, who is originally from Canada, his hockey jersey, you know, a replica, whatever you want to call it. So that really pissed him off. So anyway, folks, I did do my normal show, even though it was not interesting. I hope you do find it kind of interesting. But this is Walter from iWalter. Make it quick and simple, painless like ripping off a Band-Aid. I am signing off for now. Have a good morning on Monday the 13th.